What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Yesterday, we recapped the Jets' ugly loss to the Miami Dolphins. Today, I wanted to get into another big storyline that came out from Sunday that we didn't get to spend as much time on, but has a major impact on the New York Jets, and more specifically, their draft in 2026. Daniel Jones suffered an Achilles injury in the loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you never, ever like to see injuries like that. It's really unfortunate for Daniel Jones. He was having a resurging season, and he goes down and will, miss the rest of this year, and we'll see what his recovery looks like going into 2026. It sucks for him. But this, there's still 4 games left in the year. The Indianapolis Colts are 8-5 at this point. And at one point, what was looked at, this team was absolutely going to be a playoff team in some capacity. That's not the case as much anymore. Like I said, they're 8-5. They still have a winning record, but they had to turn to Riley Leonard at quarterback. He is their backup quarterback for Daniel Jones. And, this is someone who's a 6th-round rookie who is thrown into the lineup with a good team. Indianapolis has a good, supporting cast around him. But this is a 6th-round pick who honestly was not supposed to play this year and isn't ready to go, right? And we'll see if Anthony Richardson, I'm not sure what his health status is, and maybe you get to see some Anthony Richardson starts in there. But Riley Leonard was the one who was playing because of the Anthony Richardson injury in the first place. But like I said, this is a guy who was a late day 3 pick, dart throw kind of move, and is thrust into an 8-5 team in the midst of a playoff race. And right now, even sitting at 8-5 after their most recent loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars, they are not in a playoff spot. Right now, the Colts hold the 18th pick in the draft. They are the first team out of the playoff picture. So pick 18 would be the last pick possible that it would be for a non-playoff team. And a lot's changed when the Jets made that initial trade, the Sauce Gardner trade. The Colts had the best record in the NFL. They were the 32 pick that was projected. Now, they would have had to win the Super Bowl for that to end up being pick 32. But moral of the story, they were one of the best teams in the NFL at the time. And now there's honestly a realistic chance that they don't even make the playoffs here. Guys, think you know football? Then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players with more stats than any other daily fantasy app. Just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live during the game and pick more or less from their predicted stats that you could win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks come through. Use promo code O'Leary and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit or a new offer free $20 no deposit required promo. Terms and conditions apply. And you look at the final 4 weeks of the year, the Colts, even if Daniel Jones was healthy over the final 4 games, they had a very, very tough close to their season. After this loss to Jacksonville, they finished their season on the road against the Seattle Seahawks, who are a juggernaut at home. Then they're home against San Francisco, who San Francisco's been a good team this year, versus Jacksonville, who they just got blown out against, but at least for them, it's a home game this time. And then on the road against Houston, who's red hot. They just beat the Chiefs last night, and they're looking like they got themselves back in the playoff race. It's honestly not crazy to think that they could lose out and that they could be an 8-9 team, which would obviously not be enough to be a playoff team. And, I went through just for fun and took a look and made my picks for the remaining games of the season. And what I ended up with was the Jets finishing with the 8th pick and the Colts finishing with the 13th pick. And that was with one more Jets win. Now, if they lose out, that pick probably goes higher, but I just wanted to see what it would look like. I think one more win for the Jets is an optimistic view at this point, but we're probably looking at, for the New York Jets, somewhere between pick 5 and pick 8, unless they get lucky, and lucky from a draft perspective, not a wins and losses perspective on the field. If they lose out, they're a 3-win team, and some of the teams in front of them, like the Giants win, the Commanders win a game because they're a 3-win team right now. The Browns, the Titans, the Saints, and all teams like that. For Indy, 13 feels like the absolute ceiling for that pick. I think is probably going to be somewhere in that 13 to 18 pick range, losing 4 games in a row to close their year. The NFL's weird. They could absolutely win a game and be a 9-8 team that's just on the outside looking in. And if that's the case, you're probably looking at pick 17 and 18. But, the Jets are very likely, in my opinion, to be, have 2 top 20 picks in this draft. And look, with the loss that the Jets suffered against the Miami Dolphins this past week, it looked about as bad as it did earlier in the year in games against Buffalo and games against Dallas. And, if they play like that and have to start Brady Cook the rest of the way, then they probably aren't winning another game. And maybe that's a top 5 pick and the Colts pick is a top 15 pick. That allows you to get really creative come draft time, right? Like, you could land an elite level player for the Jets with the top 5 pick. And maybe that's, a slight move up for quarterback, or maybe it's, hey, you know what? We don't, Fernando Mendoza goes 1, we have the 3 or 4 pick and we're going to take, Arvell Reese, or we're going to take Jordan Tyson or Carnell Tate or whatever. And then, you pair him up with a Sonny Styles, or you go a different direction at first, and then you take with the first pick, and then maybe Carnell Tate's still there for you at 13. I think that's optimistic, but maybe, or a Denzel Boston, or a bigger wide receiver. Like, it just gives you so many different avenues for you to go down in the draft. And look, we could debate wins and losses for the New York Jets and what matters more, but everyone can agree that the Colts losing games through the remainder of their season is best for the New York Jets, as they hold that first round pick, and not only this year, but next year. And, the Daniel Jones injury, it's a long recovery time off an Achilles injury. And, it happened in December, right? So he's not going to have a full off season of prep. We'll see, if he's healthy enough to go at the start of training camp next year, what the Colts plan is at quarterback. There's so many question marks for Indianapolis and Daniel Jones going into 2026. And it's not just that into the 2026 season, 2027 draft based on what happens in 2026. But for the New York Jets, they don't just hold the draft pick in this year's draft. They also have the first round pick for Indianapolis the following year as well, which is, supposed to be a very good draft class. And, rooting against Indianapolis for this year and next year in order to get the best draft pick possible. This, again, has a major impact on that. So don't like to see injuries like this, but you can't deny that it has a massive, massive impact on the New York Jets, and specifically through the NFL draft. Let me know your thoughts. I'm Matt O'Leary. I'll catch you guys next time.